This is Module 4, Lesson 21 homework. And for number 1, we are looking at how to create equal fractions using fractions to represent the number 1. So here they've already substituted the 1 for 3/3, and then we just have to finish the equation. So 1 times 3 is 3, and then we can see that 1/3 and 3/9 are the same. So we do the same down here, and they've already filled in this part for us, so we just have to see how many times is 3 going to 21, and that would give us whatever number over itself they use to represent 1 to finish this equation. So I know that 3 goes into 21 7 times, so they use 7 over 7 to represent 1. Now when we get to D, they want us to realize that the product, which is the answer to a multiplication problem, is equal to the first factor. It's just broken up into smaller pieces, so they're equivalent fractions. When we get to number 2, it says express each fraction as an equivalent decimal. The first one is partially done for you. So I'm actually going to go down to, let's see, we'll go to B. So what we have here is we know that if we have 1/4, we can represent that as a decimal, and we can either rename this with a denominator of 10, 100, or 1,000, but we know 4 doesn't go into 10 evenly, so we're going to pick 100 because we know that 4 goes into 125 times, because we know that 4 times 25 is 100. So 4 times 25 is 100, 1 times 25 is 25, and then we can write this 25 hundredths as a decimal. So if we go down here to, let's go to F. So if I have 25 over 20, I know that 25 over 20 times something over something is going to equal something. Now we know that 20 goes into 100 evenly, so we're going to use 20 as 100 as our denominator. So 20 goes into 100 5 times, so we're going to use 5 over 5 as our whole to multiply this by. So 25 times 5 is 125. Now I have 125 hundredths. Now I know that 125 over 100 is an improper fraction, so I'm going to have something more than one whole. So I have 1 and 25 hundredths. If we go to the back, we have some word problems to go along with this. So, number 4, a number multiplied by a fraction is not always smaller than the original number. Explain this and give at least 2 examples to support your thinking. So today we kind of talked about 3 different rules. So we talked about if we had 1/2 and we multiplied it by 2 over 2, that would give us 2/4, which is equal to 1/2. So if you multiply a number by a fraction equal to 1, your product stays the same as the first factor, not the original, the first factor. And that number would be 1/2, and 1/2 there would be our product. We also know that if we want to multiply 1/2 times 3/2, we could get 3/4. Now, 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So if you multiply a number by a fraction larger than 1, your product will be greater than your first factor. And we also know that if we multiply this 1/2 times 1/2, that would give us 1/4, and 1/4 is less than 1/2, so making it smaller, just like they said here. So that's what we looked at today.